continues to shape the dynamics of the conflict: the 1994 Rwandan genocide, an event that not only devastated Rwanda but also had profound and lasting consequences for the entire Great Lakes region. To truly grasp the complexities of the war that engulfed Congo, a conflict that continues to shape the region even now, you must first understand the horrific events of Rwanda's genocide and the deep scars it left on the nation and its people. It's a story of unimaginable loss and the long shadow it cast. In 1994, Rwanda descended into unspeakable horror, a period of intense ethnic violence that shocked the world. Over the course of just 100 days, an estimated 800,000 people were systematically slaughtered, a staggering loss of life that continues to haunt the country. The international community, seemingly paralyzed by indecision and a lack of political will, largely watched from the sidelines as the Rwandan Patriotic Front, a rebel group led by Paul Kagame, advanced and ultimately brought an end to the killing spree, seizing control of the country. In the aftermath, over 1 million Hutus, fearing retribution and further violence, including many who had participated in the genocide, sought refuge across the border, fleeing into neighboring Zaire, which we know today as the Democratic Republic of Congo, DRC. These sprawling refugee camps, intended as safe havens, quickly became militarized bases, breeding grounds for Hutu extremists and former genocidaires, who used them as launching pads for cross-border raids and attacks back into Rwanda, destabilizing the fragile peace. The international community, burdened by the weight of its inaction during the genocide, poured vast amounts of humanitarian aid into these camps, inadvertently providing resources and support to the very forces that threatened regional stability. For Rwanda's new leadership, these camps represented an intolerable and existential danger, a festering wound that threatened to reopen the scars of the genocide. Meanwhile, Zaire, under the increasingly autocratic and ineffective rule of Mobutu Sese Seko, was essentially a failed state, utterly unable to exert control over its vast and ungovernable eastern territories, where the refugee camps were located. Paul Kagame and his government viewed the presence of these Hutu militias in Zaire as nothing less than a direct continuation of the genocide, a threat that could not be ignored. Faced with what they perceived as the world's unwillingness or inability to act decisively, Rwanda made the fateful decision to take matters into its own hands. This pivotal decision set off a devastating chain reaction, a series of events that would irrevocably alter the course of the region, plunging the heart of Africa into a brutal and complex war of unprecedented scale and devastating consequences. The repercussions of this decision and the subsequent conflict continue to reverberate throughout the region to this very day, shaping the lives of millions. Rwanda's response was swift, a calculated move in a complex geopolitical game. In 1996, Rwanda took decisive action, sponsoring a rebellion with the aim of toppling Mobutu Sese Seko, the long-standing dictator of Zaire. This intervention marked a significant turning point in the region's history. The rebellion was spearheaded by the AFDL, the Alliance of Democratic Forces for the Liberation of Congo, fronted by Laurent Kabila, a relatively unknown figure at the time. However, the AFDL's true strength lay not just in its Congolese members, but it was powered significantly by Rwandan and Ugandan forces, who provided crucial military support, training, and logistical assistance. Together, they swept across Zaire with surprising speed and efficiency. Their campaign had a dual purpose. Officially, it aimed to dismantle the Hutu refugee camps, which were perceived as a threat due to the presence of ex-FR soldiers and Interahamwe militia responsible for the Rwandan genocide. But the military operations also unleashed widespread violence on civilians, resulting in countless deaths and displacement, and sowing the seeds of future conflicts. The humanitarian cost was immense. By 1997, Mobutu's regime had crumbled under the pressure. He was ousted from power, and Kabila triumphantly took over as president, marking the end of an era and the beginning of a new uncertain chapter for the country, now renamed the Democratic Republic of Congo. But these alliances, forged in the heat of conflict, quickly soured, revealing deep-seated tensions and competing interests among the various players. In a dramatic turn of events, Kabila expelled Rwandan and Ugandan troops, his former allies, from the country, signaling a major shift in the political landscape. This expulsion triggered the Second Congo War, a devastating conflict that involved numerous African nations and became known as Africa's World War, due to its scale and complexity. The conflict drew in at least 8 nations, each with their own agendas and interests in the region's vast resources and strategic importance. Dozens of militias and armed groups emerged, further fragmenting the country and exacerbating the violence. The war resulted in the de facto partitioning of the country, with different factions controlling various regions and exploiting their resources. The war officially ended in 2003 with the signing of a peace agreement, but the underlying issues remained unresolved. Violence in the eastern part of the Congo persisted, morphing into new rebel groups and continuing to destabilize the region. One such group was the CNDP, a Tutsi-led militia that emerged with alleged Rwandan backing, further fueling tensions between the two countries. After a failed integration into the Congolese army, ex-CNDP fighters regrouped and formed M23 in 2012, reigniting the conflict in the east. M23's emergence was met with accusations of Rwandan support, further complicating the already fragile relationship between the two nations. M23 captured the strategic city of Goma, but was eventually defeated in 2013 by Congolese forces and UN peacekeepers. However, the group re-emerged in 2021, launching new attacks and reigniting the crisis in eastern Congo, demonstrating the resilience and persistence of armed groups in the region. The cycle of rebellion, intervention, and mistrust continued, trapping the region in a seemingly endless loop of violence and instability. Each new group, each new war, deepened the region's wounds, leaving behind a legacy of trauma, displacement, and shattered communities. The roots of today's conflict are tangled in this complex history, a web of political rivalries, ethnic tensions, and economic interests. The stakes have never been higher as the region teeters on the brink of further escalation, demanding urgent attention and a commitment to lasting peace. Eastern Congo's conflict is a regional proxy war, not just a Congolese problem. Rwanda cites security threats from Hutu militias like the FDLR as justification for intervention, but the region's vast mineral wealth, coltan, gold, tin, fuels deeper motives. Rwanda and its proxies have profited from resource smuggling, while Kinshasa blames Rwanda to deflect from its own failures. The Congolese army is weak, often collaborating with militias, including the FDLR. Each side's actions justify the others, trapping civilians in endless violence. The result, a self-perpetuating conflict where every intervention breeds new grievances. M23's resurgence in 2021 brought a new level of danger. Armed with advanced weaponry, the rebels overran North Kivu, displacing hundreds of thousands. Goma, a city of 2 million, was nearly encircled. Fear and shelling became daily realities. Humanitarian agencies were overwhelmed as camps swelled with the displaced. Regional peacekeeping efforts faltered, accused of ineffectiveness and bias. Diplomatic summits produced ceasefires that quickly collapsed. Tensions between Kinshasa and Kigali escalated, raising the specter of direct war. Yet this crisis forced a renewed push for negotiation. The region teetered on the edge: war or peace. Facing catastrophe, international and regional powers pushed for dialogue. Months of secret negotiations led by Angola and Kenya culminated in the Arusha Accord. Presidents Tshisekedi and Kagame, once bitter rivals, signed the deal in a tense but hopeful ceremony. The agreement is the most comprehensive yet, addressing security, politics, and economics. It goes beyond ceasefires, targeting root causes, armed groups, resource exploitation, and hate speech. The accord is built on reciprocity, mutual commitments, and verification. DRC demands M23's withdrawal and disarmament. Rwanda wants action against the FDLR. International and regional leaders pledge to oversee implementation. The success of the deal hinges on trust and follow-through. The region's future hangs in the balance. The Arusha Accord's security provisions are immediate and critical. A new joint monitoring mechanism with regional and neutral observers will oversee M23's withdrawal and disarmament. Rebels will be cantoned and reintegrated, while joint operations target the FDLR. Intelligence sharing and joint military action aim to remove pretexts for intervention. The deal also tackles hate speech, political dialogue, and resource transparency. Both countries commit to legal, verified mineral trade to cut off funding for armed groups. Success demands political will, international pressure, and unprecedented trust. Skepticism runs deep. Eastern Congo has seen many failed peace deals. Lusaka, Sun City, Goma, and the 2013 framework all promised peace, but each collapsed. Agreements were often signed under pressure, lacking real commitment. Leaders used peace talks to regroup, then return to war. Proxy support and broken promises became the norm. Spoilers, warlords and militias sabotage peace to protect their power and profits. The Arusha Accord must neutralize these spoilers or risk the same fate. Civil society fears justice will again be sacrificed for stability. Past deals granted amnesty to war criminals, entrenching impunity. Without accountability, true reconciliation is impossible. The region's people want more than another elite pact. They want justice and lasting peace. The challenge is immense, but the stakes are the desire for a different future is real. The people of Eastern Congo are no longer just victims. They are active participants in shaping peace. The Arusha Accord is a test for African conflict resolution. If it succeeds, it could transform the Great Lakes region and inspire solutions elsewhere. A peaceful Eastern Congo would unlock economic potential and stability for millions. For Rwanda, it means security and normalized relations. But the path is perilous. Deep mistrust, economic interests, and local grievances remain. The accord is a beginning, not an end. The future depends on the courage of leaders and the resilience of the people. Will this be another false dawn, or the start of lasting peace? The answer is still unwritten.